Hi, my name is Nicholas Koonsman, and today I will be talking to you about my senior project with PetDoors.com, which was about reducing the skilled labor necessary in the manufacturing processes. So to start off, going over the agenda for this presentation, we'll start with the background, then go into the problem statement, the objectives of the project, design and deliverables, methodology or how they will be tested, and then the results and recommendations from those tests. Now, to start off, a little bit about PetDoors.com. It's a very small company located in San Luis Obispo, and a high majority of their labor in the manufacturing facility is from college students. This results in a lot of variability in work schedules and a high employee turnover rate. Their goal is to produce top of the line pet doors because they're very expensive and have a lot of material costs involved in them. And so they want to make sure that the production process and the product that they put out reflects all the design efforts and marketing that has been associated with it. These doors are built in a low volume production process, but with high variability. So there's a lot of products that are made, and they're almost made specifically to order. So now going over the current manufacturing process. The current process uses a batch production cycle, and one employee will take the product from raw material all the way to boxing, making anywhere between 5 and 8 doors in one rotation or production process. Because only one employee is looking at this product the entire time it's being manufactured, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it is of quality. Because there are no standardized quality, there's no standard quality put in place or any inspections throughout the process from other employees. Now, this results in a high variation in quality because not only sometimes will manufacturers be frustrated with the complex processes and not want to redo probably what is a defective product, or they're simply, because of the high skilled labor required, they're not able to manufacture the part at the levels that the company wishes. So because of this high skilled labor, specifically when manufacturing the verts, which are the side pieces to the frame, there's a lot of defects and scrap that come from this, and some of them obviously will make it through to the end product and then shipped out to the customer. Once again, not reflecting the product that the company wishes it to be. So because of this, we move right into our problem statement. The current manufacturing process at PetDoors.com requires a very high skilled labor in the production, and this results in a high learning curve for new employees and also a large amount of variation in product quality. Now, this may be obvious, but these high learning curves mean that not only will defective products or poor quality products make it to the customer, but it also makes it very expensive in order to train these new employees to reach the standard that the company wishes. Now for the objectives of this product. If it hasn't been clear already, the 3 objectives that I wish to accomplish are to decrease the learning curve in the production process and reduce the variability in the product quality. Also, I wish to standardize the production process, and all 3 of these will come together in order to create a better product that is not only more consistently of higher quality, but also will reduce the cost of labor for the company. Now for the design and deliverables. There's going to be 3 main parts of this senior project in terms of design deliverables that will all be discussed separately because they all, while they do tie into each other, have different reasons for why they came to be. So first of all is to implement a new production process, specifically for the vert manufacturing parts. Now this will be designed because Pareto charts analysis will be taken from the current returned products to see why they're most effective, line balancing in order to help facilitate some of the new processes, and then not only some process analysis to determine what will be the best process to implement. Some current ideas for this and what is currently being moved forward is not only to import or get from suppliers materials that are already pre-manufactured and just increase the material costs so then the company doesn't have to take on the responsibilities of scrap rate or these defective materials that are produced in the process, and we'll be able to move into more of an assembly line process that has to do with more assembly of the product as opposed to the manufacturing itself. With this comes with a redesign of the facility. This will use a flow diagram, spaghetti chart, and relationship diagram to figure out where to break down all these steps into the easiest manufacturing possibilities with processes that aren't as complex, simplified a little so employees will have an easier time figuring out exactly how to learn the process, and will reduce the learning curve in order to make sure that they're producing high quality products in less time than they would if they had to learn the entire production cycle, then reducing their learning curve. Then lastly is standardizing the workbench and the production processes. This is going to be done a few ways. We'll use 5S and ergonomics specifically on the workbenches in order to design a workbench that has all the tools and parts right exactly where you'll need them. So at any point during the production process, if you need to assemble something, wherever you are currently doing that at your workbench, there will be the tool and the part you need right in front of you. This is different from what is going on currently because each workbench is designed differently and kind of specific to the employee that was previously there. Therefore, there is no standardization between them, and it's all based on personal preference. It makes it very difficult when all these part-time workers change schedules, have to move to different benches, because then they're unfamiliar with the environment they're working in. Now, moving on into the methodology and how we're going to test this. Now, the first problem with this methodology is that a lot of the processes taking place, such as redesigning the facility, giving time to let employees adapt to the new workbenches and the manufacturing process, will result in little reliable data by the time that this report is due. These processes are going to be ongoing. Many of the processes are still being tested, such as the new products, to see whether they are willing to implement them at the full scale. And while this is not a problem for the actual company, it will make it difficult to test it in this senior project with the amount of time given. That being said, some of the expected results or expected ways to test for these results from the processes are to see how the quality fares in the new production process. So whether all products are coming out of high quality, and moving on even with the standardization of the processes, how the quality compares between employees, whether there's still that variability not only within one employee's product, but across the board between all employees to see if their quality standards have become more synonymous. And lastly is the facility redesign. This will help increase manufacturing throughput and decrease the work in progress and inventory in the process, because they will be using a pull system as opposed to the previous push system, or bulk raw materials just straight through to finished products. Now moving on to some of the results and recommendations. The results from this new production process will be as follows. There will be a ridiculously reduced scrap rate because of the reliability of the parts coming in, new raw materials, will be very high, and the company won't have to take responsibility for those defective products. So scrap rate on these products which have the highest defect and scrap rate will be almost eliminated. Now, this decrease in scrap rate and time to manufacture will then lead to a reduced lead time, and because they'll be changing from a batch production system into a single product production system, they'll be assembling one product at a time. It'll increase the market responsiveness. Now, that being said, with these new raw materials coming in, there will be an increased material cost because of the tooling done beforehand by the manufacturer or the supplier of the raw materials, but that will in turn even out with the reduced labor cost from the employees having to do this process themselves. Now, for the facility redesign, there will be much more of a continuous flow and a pull system throughout the facility, not only reducing the amount of inventory in the process, but also increasing the throughput of the company and the ability to react to a lot of these custom orders that they will be receiving. And last but not least, the standardization workbench and production process will have higher quality products because they will be able to design these products and assemble these products right where they are, and have more manufacturing flexibility because they will be able to work at different workbenches for each employee. They won't have to scavenge for parts, they'll know exactly where they are. And they will also have separate areas for different parts of the process that not only will have standardized procedures for each one, but will also help reduce the scrap rate of parts that are being damaged through materials handling across the entire system. Now, for further recommendations for the company, they're making some great changes as to where they're going. They're really reanalyzing their production process to try and determine the best alternatives for what they're doing and how to achieve their goals. One thing that I would recommend for them to do forward is to look at the design of the product itself, because when some analysis was done on the Pareto chart, there seemed to be a lot of problems with the current magnets that were being used, as well as some defective materials from the thresholds that were being sent to the customers. So relooking at those would also help increase the quality and customer satisfaction of their company, and that is one thing that I think that they should do moving forward. Thank you so much for listening.